With more on the case against Iran, let's bring in Face the Nation moderator and senior foreign affairs correspondent, Margaret Brennan. Good to see you.
Good to be with you.
So this message that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delivered with the big graphics, the Iran lied, the use of video and sound bites from news reports, was that directed at the President of the United States, specifically for him? Was it for an audience of one, Margaret?
It was very much designed to convince an English-speaking audience, which his own citizens aren't, right? Hebrew is their first language. It was multimedia, something that really is compelling in terms of how to communicate with the president, I mean, down to TV clips. And Prime Minister Netanyahu is always very clever at making these very compelling presentations. He's made them in front of the UN in the past as well. If you remember a cartoon bomb.
Yes, the big bomb with the little, wick.
Exactly. He's trying to make a very definitive message very clear to people who don't follow these issues, right? That's the audience. People who may be supporters of President Trump's message that this was a bad deal, get out, but may not understand what his own national security team is trying to do, which is thread this needle here of how do we keep Iran's nuclear program frozen because U.S. intelligence believes Iran actually is still abiding by that 2015 agreement, but how do we also deliver on the president's campaign promise to get us out of this deal and maybe find a third path here, which is to use that to leverage a new kind of agreement, a side one. So far, Iran has not said it will be willing to renegotiate any part of this, and our friends, our allies in this deal don't want to either. They're saying let's come up with a plan for what happens after 2025 when this plan expires, the 2015 agreement.
So does it matter that the IAEA, which is the watchdog group that sort of is responsible for looking at what Iran is doing, and as you mentioned, intelligence officials here in the United States say that there is no new there? Does that matter at all to the Israelis, and does it matter to President Trump?
Well, it matters in the international law arena, right? Because this was not a U.S. treaty, this international agreement. It was international. You have Russia, China, France, Germany, the UK, EU, and the U.S. signing on along with Iran. So it's not a matter of what the U.S. believes, it's what it can prove and the case it can make in order to trigger any kind of punishment on Iran. This was very carefully worded with the assumption that Iran might try to cheat. It was not drafted with the premise that the U.S. might pull out of it.
Right.
And that's what we're looking at now. President Trump faces that May 12th deadline here in the U.S. of whether he wants to continue to waive sanctions on Iran or put them back on. If he puts them back on, without cause, none that the U.S. has proven so far, because we say they're abiding by it, that would effectively make the U.S. cheating on the deal. That would put us in bad faith. That would make us withdraw from it. And that's what diplomats are trying to figure out here. How is this going to work?
So let me ask you to also put your foreign affairs hat on and look at this statement from the White House where they had to correct the statement after they released it. They essentially said that Iran has this nuclear weapons program, and then they corrected the statement. We're putting it up right here. The facts are consistent with what the United States has long known. Iran has a robust clandestine nuclear weapons program, and then they amended it to had a robust clandestine statement. I want to read a tweet from Suzanne Maloney. She's a Iran expert at the Brookings Institute. She wrote this on Twitter. The correction to today's White House statement on Iran is not a typo. It's an error of unimaginable incompetence. It reflects lack of capacity at the highest levels of this administration to vet information, accurately identify real-time challenges, and devise serious responses. What happened there?
This is not just any old typo. I mean, changing from present to past tense is pretty significant because you are either claiming that Iran is cheating and creating nuclear weapons, or you're saying, well, they did that in the past.
Right, which is what everybody says they did.
Exactly, including the president's own newly minted Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, who in sworn testimony less than 2 weeks ago said Iran is abiding by it. Yesterday, he said it again. Iran, we have seen nothing so far that proves that they are cheating on the deal that they signed. So the White House, in many ways, had to put out this statement and clarification because they put put their own officials in a very tough spot. The defense secretary, the secretary of state, the head of U.S. intelligence all say Iran is abiding by it. So for the White House to accidentally say they're not makes the president's own top officials look like liars. So they had to correct this, but it is a tremendous mistake to have made here. This isn't just a misspelling. This is a claim, and what some skeptics are saying here is that it actually reflects the true intention and the true beliefs of people like National Security Advisor John Bolton, who said as recently as last month that this was an unfixable deal. But that was before he became a member of the Trump administration. And now he says he'll be an honest broker and look at the new intelligence and make a case to the president of all the options, including staying in it.
One last question on that. What would a clash between Bolton and Pompeo look like this early in both of their tenures?
Well, look, these are two people who have the ear of the president. The National Security Advisor is often the last person in the room and perhaps can make the most persuasive case to the president because of that positioning. The Secretary of State, though, comes in after having a tenure at the CIA where the president was really happy with the way he did his job, really happy with the way they communicated, and very much trusts him. So it's going to be a test of who does the president trust here. National Security Advisor Bolton was on Face the Nation on Sunday and insisted, I asked him repeatedly, can you be an honest broker here? Because we know what you think. And we know you want to get out of this deal. And he said, I absolutely will present the president with all options. Timing is key for Mike Pompeo, the new Secretary of State. He's new on the job. He wants to focus on the big win, which is something with North Korea. Right now, if the president withdraws from this Iran deal, he'd be giving Iran license to restart its nuclear program. At the same time, he's trying to convince North Korea to dismantle theirs. That's a lot for anyone to juggle, and it's not something that a Secretary of State wants to handle weeks into the job.
All right. Let's talk about something else that's going to be a lot to juggle. You have some breaking news.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's true.
You are welcoming a newest member of the Brennan family.
Yes.
You and Yato are expecting a
baby boy in September. Yes, we're very
Congratulations.
excited. Thank you.
That's so great.
We're growing the audience.
Yes, yes.
CBS
Every viewer counts. Do you have a name already?
We do, but I'm not going to share it.
Well, let me just throw out Vladimir as, because it's not a lot of people are named that except the leader of Russia and me. Congratulations, Margaret.
Thank you. We're very excited.
I'm excited for you. Thanks for stopping by.
Appreciate it.